Morning YouTube, it's Thursday morning, April 25th, 2024. It's about 6:30 in the morning and Wayne's packing up to go, and Kevin and Paul have already left, and Bobjack and I are we're all picked up and ready to pull out. And so I'll give you a little bit of a ride on the way out last night. Wayne tells me he's got everything under control. He doesn't need me to wait for him. So we're headed out, go home. It's not a very long drive. I'll bring you a little part of the drive home, and then I'll tell you what happened last night. There was something pretty strange happened last night. I think I know what the deal was. They didn't specifically tell me, but we did something that they didn't approve of apparently. And but let me give you a little bit of the drive out. This is a little side road off of a side road, and to get into this campsite. And as you can see, it's not much of a road. This place is closed off much of the winter time because of snow. The Forest Service will come in and close the gates and block everybody out of here. There's a big canyon off to that side. And then up here you'll see these dead trees, and we had a forest fire come through here a few years ago and killed off some of these trees. But this is there's a lot of little roads kind of like this up in this country, and so kind of tricky sometimes finding your way around. And I had as most of you that follow the channel know, I had a Jeep for a long time, and so I've been familiar with this. I've run all these little roads up in this area. So there you can see some of the stuff where the fire burned. These western forests are fire adapted. They're used to fires clearing through, and what a fire does is it clears out a lot of this kind of stuff and allows the big trees to flourish. So these are called dog hair thickets sometimes when they grow and they're real heavy. That's not a real good example, but it clears out the dog hair thickets, burns up all the dead and down on the ground. Fire's a necessity. The only time it's a real problem is when we build a bunch of stuff to get in the way. Now, a good example might be this little piece of forest right there, the way it's all cleared out and park-like. At some point in time, that's burned, but you can see the regeneration of pine trees in there. Anyway, I don't want to turn this into a forestry lesson, so I'll get back with you in a little bit. Figured I'd give you a little look at the road down off the Mogollon Rim. This road was actually built by the Civilian Conservation Corps, the CCC, back in the late 30s. Before that, the folks here, to get up on top of the rim, they used an old road called Strawberry Grade. And I'll try to stop in here somewhere and insert a picture and show you the one I took on. The old Strawberry Grade road was still drivable by Jeep a few years ago. And I'll try to stop in here somewhere and put in a picture of that. But right now we're just getting ready to drop off the edge of the Mogollon Rim. We're going from the Coconino National Forest into the Tonto National Forest. It says I'm doing 51 miles an hour, and this is a 40-mile zone, I believe, something like that. But there's two corners here that are pretty treacherous, and so they got all these big arrows and everything. And fire department down the road there responds in this area. They're very familiar with this curve, because there's people, as you can see, there's a new piece of guardrail right there where somebody took out the old one right there. But a lot of times what happens is they'll make it around this first curve, and the second one will get them. But the valley down in there is Strawberry. I'll show you a little bit more of that. This is that second curve. They've just done a bunch of work to try to make it better, but this one here this kind of sneaks up on people. They make it around the first one, and this one here, it end up getting them, especially motorcycles. There have been quite a few motorcyclists that met the as I like to say, the end of their own personal journey on that corner right there. But that's looking down off into Strawberry. Kevin lives, down in there is where Kevin lives. We'll drive you on down the rest of the hill here. It's pretty scenic. This curve we're coming up on right now, you can see by the sign, it's called Strawberry Curve, and there's a bunch of wrecks here too. I spent years back we had a semi-truck come off of here and lost his brakes and laid it over on and made it about to right about here and laid it over on its side right in here, and it was full of hazardous materials, and we ended up spending 19 hours there helping the local fire folks deal with it to get that thing cleaned up. It was the driver, a guy was from Mississippi, and he'd never been over this road before and outdrove his brakes, and anyway, it was a long night. That was many years ago. To give you a look, come around here, give you another look down off in the valley. You can see the rooftops. See a few bugs on my windshield there. Anyway, real pretty piece of country. The mountain across the way over there is called Strawberry Mountain. Once more, there's a look down at the valley. With the sun coming up, you can see a few more rooftops coming out from behind the cloud. It's about 7 o'clock or so, and I'm headed home. It's just a pretty piece of country, but you can see how a forest fire would come ripping through here under the right conditions. These some of these oak trees, you notice the ones that got the brown leaves on them. Now, there's a particular species of oak that grows here that actually drops their leaves in the spring rather than the fall, and the reason why they do that is because they protect themselves from the summer season. They know it's going to be a hot, dry summer, and they'll lose a lot of their moisture through their leaves. So they've adapted to actually, there's one good example right there. They've actually adapted to drop their leaves in the spring rather than the fall, and there's quite a few of those around. A 35-mile zone here, and I'm doing about a little bit more about that, so it's telling me I need to slow down. There we go, little tattletale thing there. But we're coming down into Strawberry. Kevin's house is about a mile down that road. So, coming around this red building right in front of us here is actually called the Pie Bar. And a lot of people go in there, they make pies and empanadas and stuff like that. And the guys grabbed a bunch of them on the way up here the other day. Now we're into the sun, sorry about that. The guys grabbed a bunch of them on the way up there today, and we were feasting on them yesterday. So anyway, that's another glimpse at Strawberry. I'm getting ready to drop off the hill down into Pine, and I'll be back with you here in a little bit and tell you a little bit more of the story about what happened last night. Well, it's later in the afternoon, and as you can see by my rain-spattered windshield, we made it home. So I'm sitting out here in my combination van and recording studio, and I thought I'd finish to shoot a wrap-up on this video. And the picture I inserted in there, I mentioned in the previous segment that I'd put in a picture of the old Strawberry Grade Road, and that picture is not a very good one. It's a picture off of a picture on my computer screen, and but it'll give you a rough idea on what the road looked like with a couple of Jeeps for scale. And you can see why it couldn't be upgraded to meet modern traffic standards, why that other road was necessary. But that old road was quite a feat of engineering. It was all built by hand by the early Mormon settlers, and you can see by the stonework in that picture, it was pretty spectacular, and it really is. But anyway, back home now, and got a shower and got something to eat and uploaded a video and did a little laundry and took a nap. Anyway, it's about 4 o'clock in the afternoon now. The rain that, as you can see, the rain that they said was coming actually got here. And we didn't get much here, but it would have been pretty miserable if we were still up there. But let me tell you what happened last night and what I think was going on there. We didn't have much activity last night. It was, the whole vibe was different. It felt like it didn't feel comfortable. We did see a few orbs, or twinkle lights as we call them, and we could see some movement back way off in the distance, but nobody seemed like wanting to come close to us, and we weren't quite sure why that was. But at one point, Kevin got up and he walked about 10 feet away from his chair, and he stood there for a minute and he said, "Hey, Chuck, come here." And I got up and walked over next to him, and he says, "Are we surrounded by a distortion?" And I got to looking, and yeah, it was like it was a little bit, I couldn't see over top of it, so it was taller than me. And but it looked like, yeah, it looked like there was an area of distortion from ground level up to about maybe 7 feet or so. And it kind of circled around where we were sitting, and from where we were standing, we could see it pretty plainly. Well, I decided to test it, so I walked out to it. It was right in front of us, so I walked right through it. And it was about probably 8 or 10 feet thick, and I popped out the other side, and everything around me from then on was all in sharp focus. And so I turned around and walked back through it, and the only thing I noticed there, I didn't notice anything except it seemed cold. It seemed like the temperature in that distortion was about maybe 10-15 degrees cooler than the surrounding air. But I came back on the inside, and Kevin somehow got the fact that was protection. And so we wondered, protection from what? And so we initially thought there might be, earlier I'd actually gotten, Mindspeak, I gotten the word bear. And so I thought, well, maybe there's a bear in the area, and this is their way of keeping the bear from bothering us. And we didn't see any bear, we didn't see any evidence of bear. But anyway, so at one point they did come in a little bit close. And at one point we had Paul's sitting to my right, and we actually had one standing between us, and we could put our hands out, and literally our fingers would disappear when it got to the distortion. We could not see our fingers, and both of us could do it. It was my right hand and his left hand, and so anyway, a little bit later, all of a sudden I started feeling really nauseous. It felt like my stomach was upset, and so did Paul. And I wasn't quite sure why that would be. Well, I've been around this stuff long enough to know that they can do all kinds of stuff. So my first thought was, I said it out loud. I said, "I'm feeling nauseated. Will you please stop doing that to me?" And immediately my feeling went away, but Paul's didn't. And he actually, a little bit later, he said, I think I need to go lay down. So he got up and he walked over to his camp, and he was actually sick to his stomach. He actually threw up. So, why was that? I really don't know. But shortly after that, we decided that wasn't much going to happen, and it was, like I say, it was a different vibe. It did not feel welcoming. It didn't feel hostile, but it did not feel at ease. And so we decided to go ahead and call it a night. And so I went to bed, and I woke up this morning, and sometimes what they'll do is they do what they refer to as knowledge drops. And what that does is, sometimes it happens when you're awake and you know it and you feel it and you know it when it happens, but sometimes they do it when you're sleeping. And when they do it when you're sleeping, all of a sudden you wake up in the morning and you know something, but you don't know how you know it. Now, there's no way you can prove it happened, but there's no way anybody else can prove it didn't, like a lot of this stuff. But anyway, I woke up this morning and I know what happened, or at least I think I know what happened. When we were sitting there last night, there was 4 of us. And one of the things that we mentioned about this location we call Wast Side is that we have cell service. And we thought that was a good thing, because that way we can still stay plugged in, and we can talk to our wives and check stuff. But anyway, while we were sitting there and there wasn't a whole lot going on, I realized that 3 of us were on and off our cell phones. And what I think happened is they didn't like the technology. They didn't like us doing that. And it turned out Paul was the only one that wasn't on his cell phone. He left his cell phone back over in his pickup. And I was on mine a little bit. And Kevin got a couple of phone calls, and Wayne was sitting on the left of me, and he was actually texting with a friend of his. But anyway, make a long story short, they apparently did not like that technology. They were concerned that because, they know that our cell phones have cameras in them, and they were maybe concerned that we were going to try to catch a picture of them if they came in too close. And so that's what I think was going on. I talked to Kevin this morning after he got home. We talked on the phone, and he doesn't agree with me, but that's okay. We don't have to agree on everything. The other thing I think was going on is when we shot that last video, the one that I just uploaded lately, which has been doing real well, and thank you folks for that, we shot that up on a little hill. And that little hill has a certain vibe to it as well. And I think that hill holds some kind of special significance. And they use the term special a lot. I've never heard them use the term sacred, but they do use the term special. And things are special to them. Well, I think that hilltop, and Kevin and I could both feel it when we went up there. I think that hilltop holds some kind of special significance for them, and I think they resented us filming up there. I think they did not like that. And so, did they tell us that? No, they didn't tell us that, but I get that. That was one of those things that kind of woke up knowing. And so I think we offended them last night, and that's why we didn't have the level of activity that we sometimes do. And my plan is when I go up there next time, I'm not going to make that same mistake. When I sit out at night, I'm going to leave my phone in the van. I'm not going to go back up on that hill and try to video anything more. I've been up there before. I know what it is. A lot of times we like to take you folks along, but I guess there's some things that we shouldn't be doing. But I think that they resent the technology and that we were messing around with our phones too much. And so that was the reason why they did not come around any closer, and the reason why we did not get the same vibe or same feeling that we got there before. So I'm not going to make that same mistake again. And next time I go up there, I'm going to go up on that hill, and I'm going to apologize for doing that and tell them that will not happen again. A lot of our relationship with the Sasquatch people is based on trust, and I think we did something that violated that trust, and hopefully we'll be able to earn it back. I don't know how long or how many trips that'll take. I think they understand that we're human and that we do make mistakes, and I think that in my experiences before, when I've made mistakes and I've apologized, they have accepted my apology as long as they know it's genuine. And so that's what I plan to do, and we'll see how that goes. So I think that's a wrap on this video. As I always tell you, take care of each other and love each other, and take care of yourself. The whole Sasquatch subject is an enigma, and we're all still learning about it. I've had a lot of people reach out to me, and I appreciate that, and I like to help people when I can. So let me spin this around one more time. Got a little more rain on the windshield than we did at the beginning. So for right now, let me just tell you, until we talk again, peace out.